I've been reading how the vast majority of people are now using generative AI at work. That's awesome because the best way to learn it is to actually experiment, try it out, see what you can learn. I have a recommendation for all that time saving that you have now, and it might be to solve more problems. I might be a little bit biased because that's kind of who I am and what I do for a living. But the use of it in design thinking has been kind of my specialty over the last 10 years. I've led over maybe 100 projects and even applied it for designing AI applications. But when it came to actually learning about generative AI, I was a little hesitant at first, to be honest. The first class that I took was AI for Design Thinking by IDEO, the leader in design thinking, kind of championing the whole methodology and process. And that really opened my eyes to see all the vast opportunities for using AI. And that's what I think. Once you get to see some of the use cases that apply specifically to you, then your interest accelerates. So I wanted to share with you 3 different ways that AI is actually amplifying and accelerating the design thinking process. Number 1 is data collection. I could say it was my least favorite part of the process, which is true. But the whole idea is you're doing interviews with key stakeholders, you're collecting a lot of research, trying to pull all that together to understand the nature of the challenge that lies ahead of you. Well, now not only can I record all of these interviews so I can do more of them, but I can do it I can download those into a primary file. I can do a sentiment analysis to really understand where the juice is during that. Plus, I'm creating some custom GPTs that I'm sending out to a broader audience of stakeholders, individual contributors that are knee-deep in the problems, to share their inputs as well. So again, that's fast and easy way to collect all this internal knowledge. Plus, obviously, the research side of it, when you think of all the new LLMs that are expanding in regards to what they expertise. So to be able to do research and validate what you're finding online is increased 100-fold in the last year alone. So now with all this data going into your design thinking, the second area that really helps is in the ideation. I use that term instead of brainstorming because it's a lot more, and it's a different mindset. And that's what I think. Brainstorming kind of got to the point where, the most obvious ideas are always surfaced and somebody latches onto one and you run with it. With AI, now you can actually seed that initial brainstorming with a variety of ideas to get people to think off of those topics. So by elevating the creativity, right, you actually need a whole lot of really bad ideas to have a couple outstanding, transformative ideas. So that's why all this data ends up being great. Now you got to organize that, and that's the key challenge, is like, how do I make sense of all this information that I just collected? AI to the rescue. And it does a great job of organizing things by themes and groupings, so that takes a lot of the intermediate part of the process out. Finally, I think one of my favorite parts is how it kind of democratizes decision making. No longer do you have just a couple people with, sets of information from which to make decisions. Everyone had a different expertise. Now you have all that data that you could put out in front of the entire team. And also, it has a tendency to, you can bring in different evaluations from GPT. We can collaboratively ask it questions to provide new insights that we then determine and translate into wisdom. Now, not everyone's going to appreciate this. Obviously, those people who are the loudest in the room or have positional power, but also ultimately that positional power wins out in the end. But this way you'll have more creative options from which to choose from. So there's some other applications of AI and design thinking, but those are my three favorites. And if you're interested, we're going to be doing some workshops, some open enrollment type of workshops later this year. So if you want to experience it firsthand, I'd love to have you there. And I'm doing a whole series on this because my new business, I'm restarting my consulting business, Empowered Alliances, and it's going to be based around AI enhanced design thinking. So check us out, empoweredalliances.com or on LinkedIn, or click the follow button somewhere. Because I got a whole series coming out next week about other aspects of AI and design thinking. Thanks so much.